So again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You are here with us and with our lovely, lovely guest, entrepreneur connoisseur, Simona. Simona, I'm going to introduce you, if you don't mind, to our guest tonight. But first, oh, let me tell you who I am. So my name is Fadwa, and I'm the outreach coordinator at the Foreign Born Military Spouse Network. And joining me is Sonia. Sonia, do you want to introduce yourself as my co-host?
Yes, I was trying to find the unmute button. Hi, everybody. I'm Sonia Doris. I'm the graphic designer and co-host today of FMSN. Um, and I'm tuning in from Virginia.
Perfect. So before we begin, allow me to share a little bit about who we are and why this space exists. The Foreign Born Military Spouse Network. It was born in response to the experiences of spouses like us who bring incredible strength, talent, and resilience to our military families. But many face unique challenges such as navigating immigration and legal systems, overcoming employment barriers, adjusting to military cultures, and often doing it all far from our native countries and support system. We exist because too many foreign born spouses are quietly struggling. They're highly educated but underemployed. They're fluent in multiple languages but feel unheard. They are caregivers, volunteers, leaders in their communities, but often invisible in national conversations about military families. FMSN is here to change that. We provide training, resources, mentorship, advocacy, and most importantly, a community, a place to be seen, supported, and empowered. Our goal is to ensure every foreign born military spouse can thrive economically, emotionally, and professionally, no matter where their journey begins. So, thank you again, everyone, for being part of this space. Let's build something powerful together. If you have any questions about our network, please feel free to drop them in the chat or send them to info at fbmnetwork.com. We'll put the email address in the chat. All right. Well, again, I'm so excited to welcome our guest speaker, Simona Pappalardo. Simona is a global executive turned leadership coach, speaker, and author who helps professionals navigate change with courage and cultural intelligence. With a distinguished career in the electronics and manufacturing industry, she brings a rare blend of technical precision and deeply human centered leadership to her work. Originally from Milan, Italy, she has lived and worked in three continents and is sought after voice on modern, authentic leadership. She has spoken at TEDWomen, the Military Influencer Conference, or somebody might know it as MIC, and other global stages. Most recently, she became an international best-selling author with the publication of her first book, Authentically Yours, in 2025. Simona, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and share your knowledge with our amazing community. I'm gonna let you take over. If you want to talk about who you are more, if you have anything that you want to add, and we can take it from here.
All right. Thank you so much, Fadwa. Thank you so much, Sonia, and to the Foreign Born Military Spouse Network for this opportunity to be here tonight. I am so glad that we get to do this together, and I hope that everyone will come out of this webinar with some new found knowledge and hopefully some new energy to potentially start their entrepreneurship journey. So with that said, I just wanted to start by saying that we will be providing this material at the end of the presentation. So if you feel you want to focus on the listening only, don't you worry, we will provide the slides at the end, okay? With that said, let me share, Fadwa did a fantastic introduction, but I want to go a little bit more personally on who I am. So as mentioned before, I was born in Milan, Italy, but I lived in Malaysia, where I actually met what would then become my husband. You can see his picture here. We had a beautiful blended culture wedding ceremony in the outskirts of Milan on the vineyards in the province of Oltrepò Pavese. And we blended Italian wine and Indian traditions in the best possible way. And it was one of the best days of my life. And then after we got married, we actually moved to the United States, and I lived in Michigan and now in the Chicago suburbs. I have always enjoyed traveling and meeting people with diverse background. And in fact, I have my most fond memories. I remember things based on where I was when certain things happen, just because where I am, it's so important to me, right? To connect with the memory. I'm an engineer as a background. I started my career in a company called ST Microelectronics. They do those little chips that now are everywhere in your phones, in your printers, in your PCs, in your TVs, wherever. And then I took a role with Whirlpool Corporation, a washing machine. Maybe some of you have those appliances in your house, fridges and stoves and all of that. And I climbed the rank up to the level of executive, where I was a senior director for quality and for electronics at a certain point. And then, I loved my corporate career till the point I didn't love it anymore. And so that's when I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And now I'm proud to call myself a founder of my coaching agency, which is Coaching with Simona. I'm a certified professional coach. I am part of CETAR USA, which is the interculturalist group here in the States. And on the personal side, you can see me here with my best friend on the Italian Alps. And this is the most amazing product of my life, my daughter Sophie, who's gonna turn 4 when is in April. With that said, you might be wondering, okay, thank you so much for this introduction, Simona, but I'm not hearing you say that you are a military spouse. And you know what? I actually am not a military spouse, and I want to say this first and foremost, so that I can be absolutely authentic with each and every one of you. But why am I here? Well, because I have moved 6 houses over the course of 10 years. Because I have for many, many years had no pictures on my walls, because I already knew that I was going to move in a few months, if not a couple of years. So honestly, what's the point of hanging pictures, you know? I have found some of my most precious possession broken in boxes because we moved, and I actually don't know what it means to break china because you use your precious china from your wedding day, for example, or from your registry, right? Because you break it during usage, because all of the things that have ever been broken for me that were precious to me, they actually got broken during moves, you know? And actually, of all the things that I put on my wedding registry, I literally have none in my house right now, just because when you move continents, sometimes you have to leave these things behind, and that has an impact, right, on who you are. In a way, yes, of course, you can leave the possession. It's not about the possession. It's much more about this feeling that you are always on the move. Does that sound, does any of this sound familiar? Also,
yes, it does.
Also, I'm gonna say that the fact that I'm not married with an American, and I'm actually my husband, as I mentioned before, was born and raised in Malaysia, and now we are here in the United States. I have felt so many times that I was alone, that I didn't have a network of friends around me, right? And yes, I was having my careers, and maybe there were moments in which I felt I had colleagues, which maybe is different than for people that do not have a job outside their house. But nevertheless, I felt that it didn't have those deep bonds that are related to family, right? And I will share with you one thing that I remember clearly just, I don't know, 6 to 9 months ago. I think for the first time in my life, I walked into a coffee shop because I was meeting someone in that coffee shop, and at the table beside there was someone I knew. And I was like, wow, this is happening. This is the first time that I enter a coffee shop because I'm meeting a friend and someone else is there that I recognize, because that is not something that had ever happened to me before. And I'm 44, you guys, like I wasn't exactly born yesterday, right? But just because as a consequence of continuously moving around, wow, I just took notice that was something really, really special that didn't happen to me before, right? So does that sound familiar, right? So let me ask you, and this is, I want to keep this as interactive as possible. So I prepare some polls to keep you, engaged in the conversation. And if Sonia or Fadwa, can you please launch the poll? The first question that I have for you is, following your military spouse to a new country has contributed to question your identity. Sometimes it's your professional identity, sometimes is other sides, more personal identity and all that. So what would you say, where 1 is not at all and 5 is a ton? Okay. I think, okay, people are still answering. Let's just give you 1 more minute. Yeah, it looks like the majority of you, right? Yes, there are a couple of people that feel that their identity was staying the same. It was not impacted, but the vast majority of people feels that at a certain point and to a certain degree, their identity was impacted by the continuous move around with the following of your spouse. Okay, let me see. Can you guys see the results, or am I only seeing the results? Okay. Well, anyway, 47% answered with 3, and between 4 and 5, we have another 30%. So the vast majority of people feel that at a certain degree. Okay.
And yes, Simona, we can see the results, and 93% of our guests actually answered the poll. So
okay.
we're
Awesome.
actually listening, so that's good.
I think
Thank
the
you.
percentage that didn't was me, because I don't think I can answer them all.
All right. Okay, awesome. So if let's continue. So let me tell you a little bit more. Now let's zoom in. I said before that I loved my corporate career till I didn't love it anymore. And I'll be honest with you, personally, I saw myself climbing the corporate ladder for the longest time. I came out of the university thinking that I would climb the corporate ladder, and I did it for 20 years. The problem is that it worked till it didn't work anymore, right? Because guess what was happening in the meantime? Well, I started to realize that having my corporate career, traveling around a lot, moving, was actually impacting my mental and my physical well-being, right? And there was a point in time where I started wondering, like, okay, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life, right? And then something that probably you can relate with, well, there was always this discussion with my husband about the dual career things, meaning there was always someone that needed to take some sort of step back from what they wanted to do in their career because maybe the other had an awesome opportunity, right? There have been a moments, I'll be honest with you, where we were fortunate enough that for one of us, it was the right time to move, and the other person got the opportunity to move. So there were moments in which we were like, yes, we are perfectly aligned, but they were not always moments like that, right? There were moments in which we were like, I'm having a great thing here, and now you want to move because you have this opportunity. I'm like, but I don't want to leave this behind, right? So understanding how to balance between the two was not easy on our relationship. I mean, don't take me wrong, we've been married 15 years, we are very happy, but at the same time, it was draining us, right? And then comes my little Sophie in the picture. And I've come to realize that I wanted to be present for her, right? When I had a daughter, and I was traveling, not only I was relocating for my job here and there, but I was also traveling a lot within the job itself. And I had the very big demands. I was having a global role. So every morning I was waking up in the earlier morning, for example, doing meetings with China or whatever, right? And she needed to be sent to school. You know, the life of the family was getting impacted by my corporate career, right? And then I'm an only child, you guys. So I do know, luckily, my parents are healthy, but I do know that there is a time that is quickly approaching where my parents will need me. And again, it's not that if you have siblings, you can just tell your siblings, you take care of your aging parents. That's not what I'm saying. But of course, the fact that I do not have anyone at all, right, to rely upon in Italy, yes, that thought is heavy on me, right? And so I started wondering, like, how much longer can I go before mom or dad really needs my support there? And then last but not least, I would say my sense of community. I wanted to create a sense of community around myself, a community that I can potentially bring with me wherever I go, right? So that if in case I need to relocate back to Italy, it's not in our plans, but if one of my parents gets sick, it might very much be a consideration, right? And so I want to build something for my own self that I can carry along no matter, and not being told, right? Oh yeah, this is your desk and this is where you come from to work, okay? And so these are all the reason. And that's why I said I loved my corporate career until I didn't love it anymore, because the reality of what I was living suddenly wasn't fitting anymore the picture that I made of what I wanted to do professionally. So that's when the idea of entrepreneurship came up. And let me ask you this. What does entrepreneurship actually mean? And so this is really, you can Google it. This is the first definition that came up. Entrepreneurship is the activity of setting up a business or businesses, taking on financial risks in the hope of profit. And you can see some letters there in bold. And when I think that entrepreneurship is an activity, it means, in my mind, that I need to be determined, right? In order to carry on an activity, you need to have determination. When you have to face risks, it comes with the territory that you need to gather all of your courage and confidence to be able to face those risks and still move forward. And then you do all of these in hope. So you need to have a certain amount of trust potentially, I want to even use the word faith, not in the religious sense, but this deep, deep trust that something good is going to happen out of all of your hustling, right? This is entrepreneurship in a nutshell. It doesn't matter if you open a restaurant or you become a fashion stylist or you become a content creator on YouTube. Bottom line, in order to be an entrepreneur, you need to be determined, have courage and confidence, and have some sort of trust or faith. Okay. And so to me, becoming an entrepreneur really means being willing to take a journey of self-discovery at the core of who we are. Because confidence and determination doesn't grow on tree. I mean, sometimes you really need to search it deep within you, who you really are, to finally discover that you can trust yourself. Bottom line, this is what it is all about. Entrepreneurship means being out on your own and you betting on your own self, right? So who can be an entrepreneur? Everyone who is willing to do what it takes to face their deep thoughts and blocks. I have been challenged in my job in many different ways. I had large scope, I led large teams, I had struggles personally with IVF because I couldn't get pregnant and all that. I have gone through many things. Let me be straightforward with you because I'm not sugarcoating this for everyone. Entrepreneurship is like looking at yourself naked, because all of your fears will come up when you are really going forward with it. And I don't want to scare you also. There are ways to face these fears, but I also want to be brutally honest that this is honestly what it's all about. And this is why not everyone wants to take on an entrepreneurial journey. With that, let me see if you follow me. And I have poll number 2 for you guys. Okay, maybe you're thinking, I think that if you're here, there is a reason, right? And you probably think that entrepreneurship in some way sounds cool. But let's face it, you are all thinking that you cannot do it because, and please check all that apply. It is too risky financially. I am not smart enough. I don't have the right skills. I hate the idea of selling. I have no network. I don't speak good enough English. I don't know how. What is it? Or maybe there is even something else that I didn't think of. This is what some of my clients, these are the conversation I do with my coaching clients, the ones that want to go into entrepreneurship, because I do coach a ton of expats and expat spouses, and the thought of entrepreneurship is there, but there are a lot of reasons why people refrain from trying. Okay, there are a couple of something else which I love. You guys, please don't forget to ask the question at the end. I totally want to hear what else it's going on for you. But in the meantime, I think people might be still replying. Let's see. Give me one more second. Okay, let me end the, let me end the poll for the moment, so at least we can share the results. And so, as expected, right? Like a lot of you think it is too risky financially. I don't have the right skill. All of these is like more than half of you think risky. No, I don't have the right skill. I hate the idea of selling. I have no network in this country. Okay. I don't know how to open an LLC or file taxes or write a contract, right? So it sounds like I got some of your thoughts, right? Because as I say, these are the typical reasons that people bring up. Okay. So with that, I am going to talk to each and every one of these one by one. Okay, so let's start by saying that, you believe, and this is what is called a limiting belief, right? The fact that you believe it automatically limits your ability to take action to go towards the life that you really want to live, right? There is too much risk involved. I cannot afford starting a business. And so let me first be clear about this. Yes, it is true. Setting up a business doesn't start paying the bill tomorrow. It never happens. Okay. I want to be straightforward. But I also want to challenge you on this limiting belief, because a lot of people believe that finding a job is a much safer bet, when actually what you're really doing is you are going to depend blindly on others. And look at the news. Amazon to cut 14,000 corporate jobs in second round of layoff. And do you see the dates here? This is not all news. This is just last week news. And I cannot recall which company, but today I heard of another massive round of layoff again somewhere else, right? Then let's say that you are not being laid off. Okay. Let's be honest, in the future, AI is coming, and there is an MIT study. This is not Simona that says this or anything like that, but MIT has found that AI will can already replace almost 12% of the US workforce, right? And last but not least, more and more the workers are taking home less of their fair share, right? Is actually the smallest of 1947, since 1947. So now, don't take me wrong, I do want to acknowledge that sometimes having a salary, especially if you are trying to make rent by the end of the month, going out and taking a job is absolutely the smart thing to do. What I don't want anyone to also believe, though, that having a job is like super safe. We do not live anymore in the era of our parents where you were in the same job for all of your career. There are actually studies that if you start your career right now, like if you are fresh out of college, you have already to consider that you will be laid off 3 times in the course of your career. So this is just to put the data and the facts on the table so that each of you can make a determination based on their situation, but with both sides of the coin fairly represented, okay? The other thing that I want to talk about is this idea that failing might be too embarrassing. And I don't think many of you have voiced this out in the survey, but nevertheless is an underlying feeling that a lot of people have. What if my business fail and now I am ridiculed by my family or by my friends or something like that? And so with that said, I would actually counteract this limiting belief with the fact that failure sometimes can be the springboard to success. And if you think about Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, great entrepreneurs, right? They all dropped out of college, which is commonly in common society considered a failure, right? And guess what? Drew Barrymore, that is now not only an actress, but a very successful entrepreneur, she dropped out of high school, okay? So it doesn't mean, even if you have failed once in your past life or whatever, you are going to actually raise from the ashes and be better for it. And I will tell you what, there is no entrepreneur out there that will ever make fun of you because you've made a failure. They will actually compliment you and they will actually say, you got the gut to go out there. Great job, because now you know what doesn't work. Now go and do it in the right way, right? So it's all about learning. It's not about failing. It's actually about failing fast so that you can, and maybe failing also small, right? That's something that I help a lot of my clients with. Like, okay, how do we test this on a small scale so that you don't go all in with the failure, but you can learn, you can replicate, you can modify your process and go faster and better with the learning that you just achieved. Okay. Then another thing that, and this is also very true for expats, and I will deep dive later on specifically for expats, but I don't have anything to offer. I don't have the right idea. There are, I think, millions of people out there that are, if I only just had the perfect idea, the one that made that millionaire like 10 years ago, if I could just have the same thing, right? Then I will be all in. And I will tell you what, it is never the idea that produces the results, but the consistency and the hustling. And so I talk a lot, and I love metaphors, you guys. So sometimes I talk to my clients about boiling water on the stove. The worst thing that can happen is that you put a pot of water on the stove and you wait till you are like 2 degrees to the boiling point. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you wait, but at a certain point, you're like, this idea doesn't work. So what happens? You take out the pot from the stove and you were just 2 more minutes and the pot of water will boil, right? That's the idea behind consistency, right? And of course, you can ask guidance. Of course, we don't want to say that people should just continue doing something that doesn't work. But the vast majority of entrepreneurs do not manage to get results because they take out that idea far too early instead of just letting that water boil for another couple of minutes. The reason why this is so much more difficult in entrepreneurship than when you boil water is because guess what? When you boil the water or when you wait for a train, right? You do know the train is going to pass. There is a timetable hanging on the wall of the station, or nowadays you have an app that tells you exactly when the train is coming. Entrepreneurship is not like that. And so there is an element, again, of faith to be on the right track. I will ask you this. Have you ever had to warm up the bottle of milk for your daughter or son in the middle of the night, and those 5-6 minutes never move fast enough? Why is your child crying loudly? Because they haven't yet learned that, yes, the milk will be coming, right? In the moment in which they finally understand, many, many nights later, that the milk will be coming and it will be nice and warm, they will stop crying because now they understand. Entrepreneurship is exactly the same thing. The babies, right, cry and get desperate. The adults know that it's just a matter of another minute more, right? And so that's the same. Entrepreneurs understand that it's just a matter of waiting another more minute, okay? Then I have another one that is very true, and I would also say that is far more common among the female that I help, which is, I don't want to pressure anyone in buying. I hate selling. What if now I come across as pushy, right? And there are a lot of reasons why women are socializing not being pushy, okay? So let me tell you straight as hell. The secret is never to pressurize anyone in sales. Actually, that's a recipe for disaster. Sales happen naturally when your clients see value because you are exactly the best person and your business is the best business to satisfy their needs. Look at this woman eating peacefully her donuts. Do you see how happy she is? Do you think anyone has forced her into buying those donuts? I don't think so, right? She wanted to be there. She wanted to buy that donut because that donut in that moment doesn't only have the value of donut, it has the value of satisfaction, recognition for a job well done, a treat, whatever, right? It can be multiple different things. But the point is, the value of that donut is so much more than the price, and that's the main principle of sales. So I do not pressurize anyone in buying. What I do is I very much qualify my potential clients so that I can make sure that I can exactly satisfy their needs. Okay. And if I'm not the person that can satisfy their needs and they have a different need, I try my very best to connect them with someone that can satisfy their need, because sometimes they need a coach that is a little bit different than me, right? But when they need a coach, I can totally feel it, and I know that I can bring that value, and that's what makes me capable of selling, right? I'm not pressurizing anyone, okay? Now, for the ones of you that maybe have even started already, but are not yet out there vocal in the world about what they are doing, there is a limiting belief, which is, I'm working on something, but it's not perfect yet. Once it's perfect, Simona, don't worry. Simona, I promise you, once it's perfect, you will hear all about it. There is only one problem with that I have never met anything perfect in my life, right? Like, there is always something more that you can do. The only way to know what works is testing it. And by the way, the fact that you like something doesn't mean that your audience will like that something. The fact that you need something, it doesn't mean that your audience need that something. So even if you have the most perfect product for your own self, even if you could achieve that, what tells you that that's the perfect product for them or service, product or service, right? The only way to know is by testing it, okay? And now I want to go one deeper layer and talk specifically about the challenge of wanting to be an entrepreneur and being an expat, being foreign born, right? Yes, I said it myself, that idea of not having the right network, the deep network from family and friends from the very beginning can be very, very daunting. But let me tell you something. Almost nobody is given the right network. Now, if you are the son of a multimillionaire, yes. If you are the son or the daughter of an Hollywood actor and you want to go into acting, yes, I understand those cases. But those are the exceptions, not the rules. The overwhelming majority of all the entrepreneurs out there are not given the right network. And I stress the word right, because you might have a network, but if you sell a certain product and your network, your family and friends don't have a need for that, the fact that you have family and friends, good for you as a person, but it doesn't do much good for your business. And one thing about building networks is that the exponential law exists and is valid, right? Once you start building, it feels very slow and painful at the beginning, but once you start connecting, then things get much, much faster. And actually, I'll talk a little bit later about the fact that building an audience, building a network is the most important thing that you can do to start being in business. Okay, so yes, it's low at the beginning, but fear not. Exactly like a pot of water will boil on a stove, it will also happen that your network will increase, okay, and will go with an exponential curve. Then the last, maybe the last or the second last, I don't know what the American public would need, right? This is another fear that we as expats feel a ton, right? Like this idea that, oh, well, but I don't understand yet Americans, what they do really want, blah, 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 right? So how possibly could little me from Italy be matching the needs of the American public? Well, first of all, you are in luck because there is no one American public. the American public is very, very diverse. And I've chosen the example of food because I'm Italian, you guys. So, I mean, I love food, but this can be applied to everything that you can think of, right? Think about it. Italian restaurant tribe, Chinese restaurant tribe, Indian restaurant tribe, Moroccan restaurant tribe. You know what I'm saying? The public is so diverse that it's just matter for you to connect the product with the right audience, and that's the job, right? There is for sure someone out there that would want to buy your products. It doesn't matter how different you are, because on the other side there are a lot of diverse people too. Okay, and then the other thing that I wanted to say, just a few of you said this in the survey, but I still want to acknowledge that some of us, and this is something that comes up with my expats, both on the entrepreneurial side and on the corporate side, English, for some is really like a big limiting belief. I cannot speak good enough English to be convincing, or I don't sound professional, or I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about. All of these things come up pretty often in conversation with certain clients of mine. So here again, I just want to say, the best way to learn English, honestly, is practicing it. If you have kids, look at how they do it. They go to the playground and they just, in some way, right? Kids manage to make themselves understood, even if they are new to this country, if they have not spoken English. And why? Because they are not ashamed of practicing it. And yes, their mind is also very malleable. So I want to say that there are some advantages that kids have, but nevertheless, the fact that they just try to practice, if you feel that you don't have a good enough English to start entrepreneurship, and that's your block, let me tell you this. The best way to improve your English to become an entrepreneur is to actually be an entrepreneur. Okay, it's like the chicken and egg kind of question. Okay, so with all of these limiting beliefs, I hope that I was able to counteract some of them, if hopefully not all of them. Oh, the last one, sorry, I forgot about these. I also have, of course, the one about, I don't know how the system works, how to open an LLC, or maybe how to ask a small business administration funding, right? So this is something that, okay, some of you might be mind blown about it, but first of all, also solopreneurs have a team. I do not do my taxes. I do not, I have not opened my LLC. There are online services that do it for a few $100. I do have a business coach. Even if I am a coach for expats, guess what? I'm still having a business coach. And do you want to know what? My business coach, who is in business since 20 years, also as a coach. You know what I'm saying? And the reason is because once you understand that you are not in this alone, you want to surround yourself by a lawyer, by a CPA, by a coach, by someone that knows better, or let me just say that is just a little bit farther away on the journey than you are, so that you can learn from them, right? The other thing that I want to say is that actually all the how-to are not the problem. These are easy things to fix. Just Google it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't know how to open an LLC, go online. There are at least 3 services that come right now on top of my mind that will do it for a $200. You know what I'm saying? But again, the real reason why people stop is not necessarily the little tweaks of how to, right? It's much more about what are you telling yourself about why you should not be a an entrepreneur, why you couldn't be an entrepreneur who is successful. Okay. So let me bring back some of the things that I have learned personally by going into business. I have actually realized that the real ROI, I entered into business and I'm an engineer, so math is my thing, right? So of course, return on investment, let me calculate, let me do all the formula in the world. There is so much more than just the financial side of things. I have discovered how wildly creative I am. I never thought I would be saying, you guys, that I'm creative. I actually am very creative. I always had very operational roles in corporate, and they would have never put me on the creative side of things. And guess what? I just realized I'm pretty damn good at it. I can have each and every one of the job titles that I want. Again, my resume was a great resume, some people would say, and everyone wants me for what I've already done for 20 years. And I say, boring. I want to do something else. And in business, I can get to do all the job titles that I want. There is also a joy in the process. If you ask me, okay, Simona, are you at the finish line? I am not, you guys. I am not. I want to continue building my business, but the joy is in the process. Every single day, I get to do something new, and I get to do it something to do something for myself, and that has meaning for me. I also love helping people, by the way, and I actually thrive in seeing other people succeeding. So that's part of the joy. The other thing, I am not at all competing with anyone out there. Anyone out there. The only competition that is worth having, if we want to call it competition, I like to call it continuous improvement of my own self, right? I just want to be today better than I was yesterday, and tomorrow be better than I am today, And I also, and this should really, I think, resonate with a lot of you, because as expats, as foreign born, as people that maybe have married a partner that is from a different cultural background, I have realized that the way to live that I was taught and I was experiencing is not the only one. Certain mantras that I was told in corporate America, or because my parents taught me, my parents were not entrepreneur, by the way, they were really like public servants, like public work clerks. My mom was a teacher, right? So they have grown up with this idea of stability. You do things in a certain way. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, there are so many ways you can do things, right? So with that said, I truly believe that if you are here, it's because you have the nudge, right? Like if not, you wouldn't be showing up for this webinar. So let me ask you, what are you waiting for? And with this comes poll number 3. I want to see, after this, all of me trying to dismantle of this limiting belief, where are you right now? I see the benefit of starting an entrepreneurial venture, and sorry, I still think this is not for me. Or maybe, oh yes, let's go, Simona, we can do this. Okay, I like it. Okay. Let's see. Okay, maybe let's end the poll. Okay, it looks like I did a fairly good job, you guys. Nobody is at a 1 or a 2. I'm glad, because if not, maybe I really scared you. No, I'm joking. But I'm so glad to see that the vast majority of you is, yeah, let's go. We can do this. And there is someone that is still at a maybe, but the vast majority of you is between 4 and 5. So that's awesome. And with that said, here comes the presents. Okay, so in order to get you started, you can go to this website I created just for you guys. It's tinyurl.com/Simona for FBMS, foreign born military spouse, of course. So you can download the slide deck. I will share the webinar recording. I know that also Sonia and Fadwa will be sharing the recording, but anyway, I take accountability to also share once again the recording, so that if you want to re-listen to some of the limiting beliefs and all of that, you can do it. Also, I have created just for you some exclusive content, which is 72 hours to business, a 7-step framework, and is exactly detailing one by one the things that you should be doing to be in business. And let me tell you the gist of it. In order to be in business, you need to have an audience that knows you are in business. It doesn't matter if it is 1 million people or if it is 10 people, but until you are not set up to have an audience, you are not in business. Until you are behind your PC screen thinking about ideas, you are not in business. Until you are not creating presentation but nobody sees it, you are not in business. Okay, the only way to be in business is to be out there and be able to connect with your audience. Okay, then you are in business. It's not when you open an LLC. It's not when your CPA tells you that they file taxes for your business. You are in business when you have an audience. This is like marketing 101, guys. Okay, and this content details exactly in 7 steps how to get there. Okay, but this isn't only present number 1. I have something more for you guys. If you're ready to start your journey toward the real you, you can reach me out at simona@coachingwithsimona.com, and I will be thrilled to talk to each and every one of you. 45 minutes, complimentary, no string attached, so that we can talk about maybe what's written in the guide and you have questions about, or maybe you are thinking about an idea and you want to have someone helping you understand if this would work or how it could work, or maybe you have an idea but you don't know how to monetize it. Reach out. I will be happy to talk to you in a complimentary conversation, and then we see where we can go from there. Okay, and then last but not least, I also wanted to say that for the ones of you that maybe are still at a 3 and I need some more inspiration or something like that, I actually recently, like Fadwa introduced me, written and published a book. And so I would very much welcome if any one of you is interested in reading more about how I reached this entrepreneurial space and a little bit of the story. The book is not only about entrepreneurship, but is in general about courage and about living the life that you want to live as a true leader, because that's what leadership means to me, you guys. Leadership means taking the actions with courage to get you closer to the results that you want for you. I would love for you to consider this book. It's available in ebook version or in paperback, and it has all the different chapters. Actually has the stories are from my life, but then every chapter at the end has a coaching questions, so that you can also apply some of the learning in your own life. And with that, I cannot wait, you guys, to hear all of this, the question that you have. So let me stop sharing maybe. so that we can, how do I stop sharing? I don't know.
I think you stopped sharing already.
Okay.
I can't see your screen anymore, so you should be good to go.
Okay.
Thank you so, so much. Oh my goodness, that presentation was, I've had the nudge, and just hearing you talk and hearing your like enthusiasm and not sugarcoating it really, really like just helped me so much. So thank you. Thank you so
I'm so
much.
glad. I'm so glad.
I think we all also related to your journey, even though you're not a military spouse, your life trajectory really reflects a lot of our military spouse community's life trajectory. The frequent moves, the difficult decisions between my family, my job, my career, and once you start over, there's the fears and the self-doubt and the pep talk that you have to give yourself sometimes to just start something. So thank you, Simona, so much for your authenticity and for your vulnerability. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure. And yes, I want you to know that if you're feeling the nudge, but you're also feeling scared, you're not the only one. And there are ways, right, to go through those moments so that you can really follow your passion and seeing what comes next.
Did we get any questions from our audience?
We did not get a question. However, when you were going through, that list, the second poll with the list, and somebody put, something else, I asked people to put their something else in the comments. And so Ricky put down gender difference in terms of women not being looked at the same way as male in terms of skill and expertise.
Okay. It's fair, very fair comment. I would say that I know a lot of female that are very, very successful, especially in business, right? Because while in corporate on a job, you need to wait for someone to be recognized as a potential and all of that. Look, in business, the business talk, you know what I'm saying? It's the clients that talk. And so for a woman, okay, let's say that we don't resonate with men, which is not true, by the way. I also have men clients, but 51% almost of the world is female. You know what I'm saying? So your clients are out there. Even if you are a female, I guarantee you another woman will not necessarily look at you in that way, might actually resonate with you more. There are plenty of people out there that actually want to support women-owned businesses. So that's the counter fact that I would give to that comment.
Thank you. That was the only thing. And then Ori,
I have a question.
Go ahead, Chelsea.
First of all, Simona, your presentation was powerful. That is the first adjective that comes to my head. I think I took 5 pages of notes, first of all. So my question was, what kind of negative self-talk did you have to deal with? And how did you get over your imposter syndrome, if you ever had it when you started your business? Because you had 20 years in the corporate world. So starting an entrepreneurship, that's like a complete shift. So how did you get over that negative self-talk, or feeling like I can't do this, this is so much newness, I'm never going to be successful, and getting over those types of feelings?
Yeah, you got the point. You actually answered your own question, in the sense that exactly I had the negative thought of like, I'm a corporate woman, me an entrepreneur, right?
Exactly.
Right? And it was, I think it didn't happen overnight, right? It was over a 6 months period where I didn't have any more a job. My company was going through some restructuring and all of that. Out of mutual understanding, there was no space for me anymore. I took my way out and I said, thank you very much. I appreciate you very much, but I don't think this is going anywhere anymore. And we agreed upon that, right? And then two things happened. The first one, I was getting tons of interviews and they were going even well. The problem is that every time I was stepping in front of this PC that you was entering this room, I was like, no, another interview. I am hating this. I mean, I'm professional. Trust me, I'm professional. But it took me, and all of the interviews were online, and it was taking me so much to get from downstairs, climbing the stair, and be ready and be in front. Ask Sonia and Fadwa how much sooner than the meeting today I showed up. I was 20 minutes early because I love to be here. You know what I'm saying? So that was already
by myself preparing, and then she's there. I'm like, oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that my body, my legs couldn't put me in this room was already a signal that that was not the path. And then it became the question that really for me was life-changing was, if I don't do it now, will I still be thinking 5 years from now, what if?
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the answer was yes. And in the moment in which I asked that question to myself, it's actually a coaching question, it's a self-coaching question. Boom, everything else dissipated. Before that, I was doing Excel sheet, trying to map what could have been my income, what could have been, you know, like engineer, I need to do math. You know what I'm saying? And instead, when I asked that question, I was like, yes, I would still be one, even if they give me an incredible salary in another company or something like that, I would still kind of regret not having tried. And so I'm like, what's the worst that can happen?
Okay. Wow. Can you repeat the question that you asked yourself? Because I would like to write it down.
So the first question that I asked myself was, in 5 years, would I, even if I am wildly successful with another job, they give me a job that, think about what would make it the best. Would I still wonder what would have happened if I opened my own business?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer is yes. Then I don't want to live with that regret, right?
Okay.
And the other question that it's very important is, what is the worst that can happen? And I do ask this to my clients quite a bit, because I'll be super honest with you. If a client comes to me and tells me to that question, I want to open a business, and I ask, what is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that at the end of this month, I cannot pay rent. I'm going to hit pause with that person and say, okay, I hear that you want to go to business. Let me be frank with you. You're not going to pay rent with your business this month. Okay. So let's talk about how you take a job so that you can pay rent, right? And at the same time, let's talk about your dream of being in business. It might take a little bit longer because maybe you cannot bring in all the hours in the world to your business. I'm not discouraging you, but I also need to be, I mean, I live in this world. I know how business works. You do not pay rent the first month you are in business, okay? Be super straightforward about it. It's a bet that is not worth taking. But, right, for a lot of people, the answer to that question is that actually nothing so terrible would happen for 6 months, for a year. And then we talk about, okay, it's probably going to take a little bit more than 6 months to really, how can we bridge that? You know, there is some reality check. I love the gut, but there is also some reality check that we need to do, right? So that the dream is still achievable, but at the same time, we don't pile up credit card debt, you know what I'm saying? And don't make out of it, okay? So there are both sides. Sorry, maybe too long of an answer, Chelsea.
No.
I answered the question.
No, it was great. It was great. I think that you answered the question, but also you also expanded a little bit more on it as well. Actually, yeah, I would say so. I would say so.
All right.
If I can insert myself into this conversation. So one thing that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Simona, but one thing that us military spouses might consider ourselves lucky to have is to have a spouse, a service member that will have a steady income
Mhm.
no matter what, unless we have a government shutdown. But let's not talk about that. No, but I think so. I myself, I never thought of entrepreneurship. I never thought of starting my own business. But I've only been a military spouse for 4 years now, and the looming PCSing that's coming up, that I know is coming up, is making a chill go down my spine of losing my income because I will lose my job. And it made me think of maybe I should start something that is my own that I can take with me wherever I go. And the first thing that came to my mind is, no, you can't do it. You're not an entrepreneur. You shouldn't be doing it. Da 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 da. All of that stuff. So everything you said, Simona, is what I thought about. And then, I was thinking, if my spouse, my husband, my partner is supportive, then I can rely on them, on their support for me to take that jump, to take that risk. And I hope that our military spouses feel secure enough. I mean, if you left your country for him, I think he can pay rent for 6 months, okay? I hope that the military spouse community can rely on their service members to be their supportive partner when they are taking, let's face it, it's a risk. When they're taking a risk to start their own business, that hopefully is going to actually be the steady income that have, have they don't risk losing because of a PCS. So hopefully that
Absolutely.
also can give people a little bit more hope
Mhm.
in their capabilities to become entrepreneurs. Look at me. Simona, are you proud of me?
Very proud of you, Farwa. No, and I didn't want to, how can I say? I don't want to answer for everyone's situation, right? But you are pointing at a right thing. If you have a spouse that has a stable income and insurance, by the way, that's another important topic in this country. Like with some people that go into entrepreneurship, it's not even the income the problem, is all the benefits that come with the job. So if there is a spouse that is stable, at least in the beginning, it makes things easier, right? I will be honest with you. I went into entrepreneurship first, and my husband had a job. And so at least we didn't have to worry about insurance. After seeing me, he always had the dream, like, but now he's also his own business owner. And so, of course, we pay insurance with our own money, right? But the fact that those two things happen at different time is undeniable, that it was easier, right? So I was already having some traction in my business, and at least insurance coverage was a thing, and some sort of income also, right? So that
Mhm,
is definitely a plus point.
mhm,
And then the other thing is, as you say, risk, right? Like
mhm.
now, how hard it was, I don't know, Fadwa, for you to land a job, and now if you're PCSing, now you have to restart from zero.
Oh
There
yeah,
are
that will take a
business.
whole webinar of the difficulty of getting a job as a military spouse. So yeah.
Yeah. So instead, there are businesses, if you are, let's say, smart about it, you can do business online. You can carry your business with you, right? Like what I do is 100% online. I service people all over the country, no matter where I am. Even if my mom and dad needs me in Italy, I can actually continue doing it. So yes, those consideration, there is plenty of stuff can be done online. And so yeah, it might take you a little bit longer to get there, right? But then it's not that every 2 years you PCS and now you are restarting from zero.
Right. Well, Chelsea, that was a great question. Do we have
Mhm.
anybody else who has any questions? This is your opportunity to get it straight from Simona. Any questions, anything else you want to add? But if we don't have it here right now, Simona, how can we have access to you to possibly coach us? How to become entrepreneurs, how to start, where to start?
Yeah,
What do we need to do?
So there is, first of all, I already gave you, every one of you in that slide, Fadwa, if you can, when you send out the recap,
Yes.
maybe if you can highlight, my mail is simona@coachingwithsimona.com. I have a website, which is www.coachingwithsimona.com. You can read, there are plenty of videos up there. My email address is listed. You can sign up for my newsletter, all those things to keep in contact with me. And then we're going to have this conversation. I am offering to each and every one of you these 45 minutes because everyone is in a different phase and also need different things, right? So we can talk about what I can offer and go from there. Okay?
Did you just say offer 45 minutes?
Yes, complimentary for free.
That was at the
my
end.
God, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Simona. We know how expensive coaching can be and how time consuming it can be. So we really appreciate your gesture for our foreign-born military spouse community. That's cool. That's awesome. I hope you get a lot of emails from our community.
Happy to do it. And by the way, I told you about that framework. It's really a good framework, you guys. I don't say it works. Okay, so just download it. I think it will be very, very helpful. Even for the people that today are at a free, keep it with you, that framework. Who knows, maybe in a month, it will be exactly what you need to get started, okay?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Simona, for your generosity and for your time. Before we wrap up, I want to thank you again for being with us tonight. Your insights are deeply appreciated, and I know that our community has gained so much from what you've shared. And to everyone here, thank you for being part of this conversation. We have more inspiring and informative sessions coming up in the upcoming months, so please keep an eye out for our announcements. We also would love to hear your feedback. It helps us grow and serve you better. So please take a moment to fill out the short feedback form. We will share in our chat. Lastly, foreign-born military spouses, it's very hard for us to reach our biggest challenge. That is the reaching to more of you. So if you know someone who could benefit from this space, please invite them. Share our website, our Facebook groups, our resources, like the Foreign Born Military Spouse Playbook. Let's make sure that no spouse is left behind. Until next time, I want to encourage everyone to take advantage of Simona's offer and reach out to her. I see the chat blowing up right now. Everybody is very appreciative and thankful. And yeah, so, Sonia, do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm just so thankful that I was able to be a co-host and be here for this webinar because my mind has been blown, to say the least. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everybody who joined. I think for the events that I've been co-host with, I think this has been one of our biggest, that we've had so many people join, and it just makes me so happy to be here and to be part of this. So thank you again so much.
I
Thank you,
agree. This has been
everyone.
amazing. Thank you all and have a good night. Stay warm, stay safe. Don't be sliding on that ice. And until next time, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.